Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Kyle on the show. He is selling his affiliate, Amazon Associates, and display advertising business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Kyle, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the show. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. This is an affiliate, Amazon Associates, and display advertising business created in December 2012 in the hobbies niche. The average revenue for the business is $7,252 per month, and it makes an average of $5,708 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a primary domain and all site content and files, a secondary domain, an email list with over 1 million email addresses, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter social media accounts. We do recommend that interested buyers have an approved AdSense account just to help aid a successful migration of the business. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 59933 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So, Kyle, let's hear from you. Can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started with affiliate marketing back in 2015. We were doing a lot of direct to site buys and going direct to websites. Later on, 2017, 2018-ish, we started building newsletters. We scaled those to I think we have 2 million active subscribers across all of those today. And then we looked to expand into new verticals and started looking to buy SEO sites because our newsletter sites didn't really have any SEO focus. They were all email focused. So we're looking to scale out the SEO and content side of it that way. That's when I bought this site in May of 2020 from the previous owner. And that was just through cold outreach when I was looking for sites that hadn't really been updated and were still ranking well. So in this case, I found this one on Google. It was still on page 1 for some major keywords, been updated since I think it was 2017 at the time. So reached out to them, negotiated a deal, and purchased this site. Since then, we've added, I think, about 200 long form product review articles and then consolidated. I think they had 5,000 or 6,000 pages of content that were, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs. So we kind of consolidated all of those to a few hundred, I want to say, pages now. So that's kind of my history on this site.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you've certainly been on quite a journey with this site. The site has multiple revenue streams. Can you walk us through what the income streams are?
Yeah, there's a few sources. Primarily, it's going to be Amazon, AdSense, a few other affiliate sites, and then we do email monetization. So we also have an email ad network. We'll run some promotional emails within that email. We'll sometimes have some sponsors. So there's some additional revenue that comes in from there as well. So all in all, I think probably 6 or 7 different sources.
Okay, perfect. Would you say that there's room to add more sources to the site?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen a few come through that, they're interested in list rentals or are interested in promoting on the site. And frankly, I just haven't responded to them. But that's definitely an option to scale it further, both verticals or different niches within the category, as well as different advertisers.
Okay, wonderful. You've experienced a lot of success with this site, as you say, consolidated a lot of those excess pages. Why have you decided to sell the business now?
The reason that I'm selling now is our main business is in the newsletter niche. And I thought it would be a lot easier to take our current content writing team, which publishes news, writes newsletters, all of that every day, and use them for more long form review content. Turns out that's just a totally different skill set, and the SEO aspect of it and the length and the reviews and all that is just not something that I had any really know-how going into this. So That's why I wanted to sell. It just doesn't really fit our operations right now. And it was always kind of a grind to get a new content written. So I figured it'd probably be easier to just sell it and focus on what I know best.
Yeah, as you say, you've done a lot of work on the site and improved it a lot since you purchased it. What would you say was your biggest win since starting this business?
I would say that it would probably be how we built the newsletter. Obviously, it didn't come with a newsletter to start, but we're able to utilize some partnerships with both email data and build a fully opted-in list where people are getting daily emails with content and then some promos. I think that was a nice way to boost the site's traffic sources as well as the earnings.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great addition to the site. Flip side of the coin, what would you say is your biggest setback or challenge you've had with this business?
Spending the time to try to learn SEO and content. Like, it just isn't my forte. I do like little onesie twosie things here and then not push on with it for months, which, obviously SEO takes months sometimes to see results. So I think I was quick to learn that I wasn't good at SEO, it wasn't part of our normal operations and just not a niche I really want to focus on. So I would say that was my biggest learning there.
Speaking of SEO, how much time would you say you've invested on page SEO and backlinks?
Outside of the initial kind of like page consolidation, none. I don't think we've done anything else on page side. Off page, I've used 2 or 3 agencies kind of sporadically when they had like a sale for links or whatever. I would opt to get a few months worth of backlinks. But outside of that, we didn't really have like a strong on page or off page SEO game plan.
Yeah. So Kyle, walk me through, where does the majority of your traffic come from?
Majority of traffic, it's probably going to be split between email and organic. So mainly going to be Google. Google ranks for, I don't know how many keywords, hundreds, thousands of keywords. And then there's daily email that goes out from content written. It'll either highlight an existing, either review or just general news content that we wrote on the site as well. And then that'll go out to the subscribers.
Okay, awesome. And are you doing anything else in terms of marketing?
Not really, no.
Okay, perfect. So what would you say are the major growth opportunities within this business?
There's going to be a few. I think the first one, the most obvious one, is going to be more content and more links. I think we acquired it in May 2020. I think by April 21, so a year, 11 months later, we were done adding content and kind of consolidating and doing all the backlink work. So for the last year, we haven't added any new review content. So I think that would be the biggest one, more content, more backlinks, and probably increasing email list, utilizing our database of emails, warming up new emails, getting new emails activated on our daily email would be a good way for a new buyer to come in and grow the list, which in turn grows revenue and grows page views.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic point. I know you said that your content creation has slowed down quite a bit, but can you walk me through what your content creation process looks like for both articles and for the newsletter content?
Yeah, so for the long form, we had kind of I think it was like a 3-page kind of like wireframe of like what to hit, how many words. And those are mainly like, I want to say like 3,000 to 5,000 words for the long form review. We used 4 to 6 different writers, I want to say. Obviously share all of those with the new buyer. For the daily content, we have a writer that publishes a much smaller amount, 300 to 500 words daily, with just relevant news in the industry. And that one's obviously a much easier, quicker publication. There's not a ton of research that goes into like some of those long form reviews. So it's just a different skill set on that front, but that's good. We need that content because that's the content that we send out to the newsletter. So we're able to kind of use what we publish for the day to also be the content for the newsletter, which gets more opens and more clicks, more website visitors, and ultimately will also keep the email list happy in a sense that you're showing good stats on the opening clicks and people are engaged, and you're not just every 2 weeks or whatever send an email to 50,000 people and wondering why it's not being opened and clicked because, well, it's only once a month and there's no consistency in history of people opening and clicking that. So that would be the work that we're doing now for the content. And I think going forward, continue to do that, but also putting on long form reviews again and promoting those to the email list is going to really kind of add another level to it.
Yeah, absolutely. What does your keyword research process look like? And how do you come up with the topics for your content?
There wasn't a ton of rationale behind any of it. I kind of saw what it was ranking for existing. So like when we acquired the site, we didn't have any review posts, but it was centered around like a specific type of gun. So we kind of ran with that. So we took all of the kind of how to and best review articles that we could around that topic and just started writing the content for that first. So that's pretty much the method to the madness. And then as we started launching new verticals, it was more or less just kind of random in a sense. So not a ton of intel to that.
Okay, awesome. So Kyle, focusing in on your role in the business now, what does a typical work week look like for you when running this business?
It's pretty straightforward. So we have the writer that writes the content and then queues up the email, and they queue it up by using, the existing day's template, change out the headline and maybe the image, and then the ads are auto-generated in there through one of our revenue partners. And either that person or someone else on the team can go in and schedule the email. And that's about the extent of what I do day to day, mainly just oversight of that person. And then, I'll check the plugin updates and make sure everything on like the hosting side is good to go. But that's about it. Sometimes I'll help the writer with topic generation if there's something kind of pressing in the day or something that we should for sure touch on. But other than that, I give them pretty free reign to write about what they want.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like a really well automated, streamlined process. You mentioned that you do work with a team. Can you run us through the team you have in place and what everyone does?
Yeah. So currently it's like kind of built into our other newsletter business. So a lot of these pieces aren't necessary. And I've worked to make it to where this site alone is kind of has a little bit of a different operation. So currently it's the Slack channel. We have the writer publishes daily, and they just know that, writing their articles due by 11 a.m. locally. So we have time to QA it and test it and queue it up. So in that instance, that person would do that, publish it on the site, put the template together, and then send that over. Going forward, I think it's probably a lot easier to just give them access to our email platform where they can log in and just click a few more buttons. We just had that fail safe in place to where like our operations manager is actually the one like logging in, queuing it up and sending it. But because at that point we're sending for 15 other newsletters, so it's easy to just add one more. But going forward, I think that person could do the entire process very easily. And that's the day-to-day for that. The day-to-day for like the long form content we're publishing, that would be more so like build out the SOP or kind of the 3-page, like here's how many words, here's keywords to target, that type of thing. Assign it to them. Turnaround time on that's usually quite a bit longer, maybe a week, sometimes a little bit longer. Edit that, add affiliate links, and publish that to the site. And then we would also, if we publish one of those long form ones, that would be also the content that we send out in the newsletter as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for breaking that down. So what would you say is the biggest challenge that a buyer might face when taking over this business?
I can't think of any major challenges that they would have. I mean, if they're historically like a SEO driven marketer, like maybe learning the email side of things, but we have SOPs that go through all that. And I'm more than happy to kind of walk through how we built this piece by piece and how I would scale it and kind of the metrics to look for. I'd say maybe learning the new metrics of like, okay, here's what open rate should be. Here's what click rate should be. Here's how often we should send. Here's how to write a headline that gets us that engaging open rate. I think that might have a little bit of a learning curve, but nothing too challenging.
Yeah, you mentioned all of those metrics that the buyer would need to know. Obviously, you know all of that information. How much support are you willing to offer the buyer to help ease that transition?
As much as I need, realistically. Like I'm not going anywhere. So I'll still be around on Skype or Slack. So I'm open to whatever they're interested in. I think it's here like a 30 days of email on Skype. Like that's no problem. And if they're interested in, more than happy to provide it.
Fantastic. And when it comes down to the actual sale of the business, would you be open to negotiating something like an earnout?
I would be, with maybe like a little bit of a carve out. I would like to see the new buyer has a plan in place to grow it, in which case, more than happy to help if it's on the email or content side. But if they have a plan in place to where they're going to scale the business, yes. If they're just going to kind of buy it and sit on it, I'd be less willing to that.
Okay, perfect. And would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yes.
Fantastic. So, Carl, is there any advice that you would give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started with this business?
Yeah, I think there's lots of opportunity out there, especially in this vertical. So this one specifically is in firearms, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that one because there is no Google ads for this niche. So I think that leads to a lot of opportunity for affiliate partners in this sense to get a lot more creative with, how they approach advertisers. Advertisers are much more willing to do more favorable deals to get traffic to their site. So I look at this niche as that actually has a lot of upside. And that's kind of how we built our email list is, we worked with email advertisers and we were promoting their product on the site. They were helping us grow our list. And there's just a lot more synergies out there versus, most verticals, they can go to Facebook and Google and buy their own traffic and get their own customers and all of that. Whereas in this one, it's actually, there's more opportunity for partnerships and more opportunity for scale and to grow the business that way.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like there's a lot of unique opportunities there. Kyle, that leads us into the final question of the interview and probably the most important one. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
Definitely because it has such a diverse revenue stream. If Amazon products go down or if, any of these other affiliate networks go down, there's other ones and there's, countless more that we're not even hitting right now. So I would say the breadth of affiliate networks available, the amount of content that we haven't written that there's low hanging fruit out there in terms of okay, this is an easy new vertical or product to write about. Let's do that. And then, ultimately the newsletter is probably the biggest asset. There's a lot more you can do with list rentals, like sponsorship takeovers, that type of thing for the content and activating more of the newsletter. I think currently our active segment is around 25 to 30,000 and our total emails is over 1 million. So it's obviously there's a discrepancy there. I think the opportunity there is to activate more of those emails that we have into our active list and make sure that they're staying engaged and growing the list that way. Because that list alone, if you get it up to, if you can double that, probably double the revenue. So that would be a very attainable needle mover. And then probably moving to a different ESP. We have ours on with all of our other lists right now. We can break it off as a one-off, so that's easily transferable to a buyer. But there's also probably more affordable options out there. So I'd maybe look at those and we can probably cut, I think I ran the numbers $700 a month or something. That could instantly be saved by moving over. And the only reason we haven't is because it's kind of with all of our other sites and doesn't really make sense for us to have one site on a new ESP. So that would be what I would probably go after for the first month or two. And just more content, hitting all those verticals and growing the list.
Wonderful. Yeah, it certainly sounds like there's lots of potential to be had here. Before we finish up, Kyle, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I think if anyone's interested at all, schedule a call. Happy to break it down further and show them numbers and all that, and happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little bit more insight into you and your business. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Lauren.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 59933. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.